Got it. All right, cool. Well, good to see everybody. Good morning. So I'm Anthony Ramos. I'm our president for the ICCDC. Thank you so much for being here. I'll let folks of the leadership team introduce themselves real quick. So,
good morning, Terrence Bond, past president of ICCDC, also director, diversity officer at Heartland Community College.
Hi. So weird. I'm Kermit Duvall, vice president of the commission and associate vice president at Trenton College of Institutional Advancement.
Wait, here it is. Hi, everybody. And I'm a dean at Harvard College, and I am the treasurer of ICCDC. Good morning. Good morning. Candace Maxwell, AVP of Diversity, Equity, Belonging, and Inclusion at Peoria County College.
well, welcome everybody this morning. Thank you for being here. So much at 9 a.m. the first day of the conference before it officially kicks off for our business meeting today. Got lots of great information to share with you all. We'll do a round of introductions in a little bit in the room, and we do have our folks on Zoom. So I know our folks who are zooming in from the campuses and trying to continue to make this meeting accessible for folks who aren't able to travel here. So just jumping in and I know we have a lot of new folks to the commission as well. So just sharing the vision and mission here of ICCDC in terms of it's really a really interesting space as this work is evolving in our state. As we'll talk about the new equity plans that are coming forth in more detail in a bit, but thinking about our vision to sustain a statewide collaborative to advance inclusive excellence throughout the Illinois community college system, and really to advocate for our colleges in this work. Just thinking about how the conversation around diversity, equity, inclusion has evolved as we upgrade our conversation around it, as we think about how are we sustaining efforts, how are we supporting folks who are doing the work, how do we invite more people to the work, and how thinking about how the mission of the commission can support you all in your work and your campuses as we do this work across our state. So thank you for being on the journey with us. Just a little bit of history here. So originally formed in 2015, so being one of the newest and younger of the commissions, group of colleagues committed to improving the experience for employees and students of all backgrounds, creating more just, equitable, and thriving communities. And it's really interesting too, compared to the other commissions, we're one that has stakeholders from different positions across our institutions. Not all institutions have a chief diversity officer, but we also have folks who are coming to us from faculty, from other administrative roles, student affairs professionals, academic affairs leaders, folks in specifically multicultural affairs roles, and folks who work with faculty development or professional development on campuses. So it's a really exciting space to be able to do this work in collaboration with folks from many different functional areas, which I think is one of our strengths, right? If we can influence this work from multiple perspectives on our campuses, I think that strengthens the ability for folks to engage and participate. And so in terms of our 9 objectives, and I won't read all of these, but just kind of thinking about the overarching themes of equipping the practitioners, engaging our community colleges in this work, and providing advocacy and consultation. That's one thing that's been really exciting for us to do. For example, our work with ICCD and IDH in the last year, really taking the time to influence some of the conversation around the equity plan development that was legislated a couple years back. Now that we have the frameworks, but still thinking about, okay, how do we find that balance between this is what's legislated, this might be what's coming out of the initial framework, which we'll talk about in a bit, but then how can we really take it to the next level to move beyond compliance, but really owning the work and holding ourselves accountable. This is the agenda for today's meeting here, so we'll run through some business updates, open session for kind of campus report outs, to hear what's happening in your campuses and different activities within the system. We'll take a break and then talk about some of our opportunities for spring engagement. We've got a lot of ideas brewing and a lot of opportunities for us to connect more regionally. We'll talk more about that in a bit. So yeah, if we could just do a round of introductions, and we're going to try to figure out how to navigate this best for our folks in Zoom as well. But Folks can share your name, your institutional role, and just from a wellness perspective, what might be one thing you've done for yourself in the last month that wasn't work related, or one activity that brought you joy. So,
Can I stand up to the camera?
sure, we can turn the camera towards you. So, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep, I gotcha.
Angela Snow, Carl Sandburg College, Record Registrar. I'm here representing Baker. I'm the president of community colleges in Illinois. It's my first conference. I'm very excited to be here on this last year because I got COVID. Been in higher ed for 23 and a half years. I love it. It is my passion to see kids start to finish. And I'm very excited about your session today. As far as something that makes me happy, I would say having a good cup of coffee, some relaxing smelling good scents, like lighting a candle in the house, or reading, just having time to meditate and self-care and be.
Thank you. You can just stand up.
Yeah, we'll point it towards you.
All right. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Esther Urban. I'm the Chief Equity Officer at JJC. And one thing that excites me are my grandbabies. So I went to Atlanta a couple of years ago, and I spent about 4 days with them. And they wore not out. So I needed to go back to work to make more money. So we can do this again, right? And it's glad I'm glad to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lynette Dennis. I'm the Director for High School Equivalency at the Illinois Community College Board. My first time here, so I'm really excited to see what's going on and network with everybody. I guess just taking time for myself and to be with my family, my daughters, and the ones that I love the most, especially now with the holidays. I'm looking forward for Thanksgiving and all those celebrations that we do for Christmas and
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marietta Turner. I'm Dean of Students at Hartman College. I've been there 15 years in the role. And I am a longtime member of ICCDC, having been part of the admissions commission many years ago. And I'm so excited to be part of this work now. One of the things that makes me happy is Christmas. My birthday is 2 days after Christmas, so I'm celebrating Jesus. And I tell everyone that I live for getting ready for Christmas, so I am in the spirit. All my kids and I come together, and my daughter already said, I'm coming home. I'm like, all right, I'm getting ready. So I can't help but get excited. So right after Thanksgiving, I'm there.
Okay, okay.
I'm Krista Agee. I am the coordinator for equity, diversity, and inclusion at KCC, or Kankakee Community College, and I'm very happy to be here. This is my first time, as I'm very outwardly outed, but my first time here at the workshop, and I'm really excited to be here. But let's see, it's really hard to think about things that I do for fun that aren't work related because I let work consume me. So aside from going to soccer games for KCC, when our season's over, I've now resorted to winning basketball games at KCC because I try to not keep students first, but then I do, then I put myself towards the end of that list. But for fun, I think probably watching unnecessary television with my buddies and my husband sometimes.
And one thing that makes me happy is watching my children perform, whether it's at choir regionals or the performing arts.
Yeah.
Good morning, LCS. My name is Isaac Zuniga. I'm Executive Vice President at Virginia College and Academic Services. Former leadership contributor to the commission. Some things that I like to enjoy is I am almost a barbecue competitor. I'm not into competing with barbecue, and so been in a couple of competitions, so I really enjoy that. It takes me away from work, away from my family, just being the barbecue. But things that I really enjoy is yesterday was my son's 10th birthday. And so seeing
Aw.
him develop and grow and telling us that it was the best day of his life was amazing. It's been a
Aw.
sidebar.
Mhm.
Yeah, if anybody wants to jump in from the Zoom.
And I put the stuff in already. Do you want to make the announcement? Oh, there's Rory. There we go.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So glad to be able to be here with you even virtually. I am the Executive Director for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Moraine Valley Community College. I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Escortina Urban, who was a presenter with me at our Equity Academy on embracing diversity, creating an inclusive workplace culture. And at that session, I really told about some of my, at Dr. Urban's insistence, told about some of the things that I love the most, but what has been like the ultimate thing that's happened for us this year is that my partner Eve and I have 2 adult daughters, and our oldest daughter Elizabeth got married in the end of September, and it was wonderful. I did a duet with her. It went really well. We're grateful for that. And then, but of course, after that, our youngest daughter caught the bouquet. So, so we have something else to look forward to, I'm sure. Thanks very much. Good to be able to check in.
Thank you, Rory. Nicole Jeffrey is from Richland, spending time traveling with coworkers, learning opportunities in our local community. And she's at the state capitol today and does not have a mic, which is why she's not able to speak. Anyone else online would like to jump in, to introduce?
Yeah, I can just go next. I'm Aaron Rowe. I'm from Sauk Valley Community College. I'm the Director of Research and Planning. And this is my first time here, but I've been involved. I worked with equity back at Moraine and I met Rory when he was starting, and then left to Sauk and started the Director of Research and Planning here. But so we're getting kind of just started in this work at Sauk Valley and kind of figuring out what all of our kind of key metrics are going to be. So we're still kind of building that up from the ground and seeing where we can go. Trying to work on our equity plans now too. I know we're a little bit farther behind, but I was lucky to have the experience from Moraine Valley on what that looks like from ILIA and stuff like that. So, but something that exciting happened this last month. I ran my first 100-mile race last October in October, and so feeling pretty good. But that's about it.
We missed you, Aaron.
Yeah, I miss it. Moraine's great. So if anybody's looking for a job, Moraine's highly recommended.
Thank you.
All right, Nick, come on in.
Can go next. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Nick Branson. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Strategic Advancement at Collier Lake County. And I would say one thing that I really enjoy is being a soccer coach for my son's team, which has seasons but never really ends. So we just finished fall and now we're into indoor winter soccer. So.
And Nick is our founding president, or our first president since the 2019 season. So thank you for your service.
Thanks, Terrence.
Erica, Lily, Stoyan.
I'll go next. I had to turn on the mic. Hello, I'm Erica Griffin, and I'm the controller at Southeastern Illinois College. And something that has brought me joy in the last month, I'd say I started Christmas shopping with my friends, so I always have fun shopping. And getting ready for the holidays.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Toyin Fox. I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Access at John A. Logan College. something that's giving me joy right now is I'm preparing for the total eclipse that is coming up this coming year, April 8th. And one of the few places that is going to have eclipse totality. So I'm getting ready for family and friends to visit. So that's really very exciting for me.
Well, welcome to it.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll go next. Good morning, everyone. My name is Candace Silas, and I am the Director for the Workforce Equity Initiative and the PATH Grant, as well as the chair for our newly formed DEIJ committee for Lincoln Land Community College. And one thing that is going to bring me joy, I'm already feeling the joy, is that I don't have to cook for Thanksgiving. All of my grown children are going to cook. So hopefully that's going to turn out well. So I'm giving thanks for that already.
That's awesome. Wonderful.
Anyone else online?
I'll go. My name is Libby McVicker, and I'm at Illinois Eastern Community Colleges. I'm Program Director of Grants and Compliance. And something that has brought me joy in the last month is this beautiful weather we've been having in Southern Illinois.
Before the storm starts. So everybody online, and one more person. We're just doing introductions, so names, usual, maybe one thing that classes will be last.
I'm Maya Lawrence. I am at Wilson Park Community College. I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusive Excellence. And one thing that has brought me joy is that it's college basketball.
Well, there's that. Yay. Yay.
All right, I'll go to you all real quickly. One thing that's about to come in the last month. Go, Yolanda.
Oh, I'm new at Harper, so I'm starting to really learn the culture and my job as being a dean. So that has brought me joy. Getting over that.
Supposed to be not work related.
Oh, not work related? I didn't listen to the instructions. I'm working. Okay, things that brought me joy. Family, I've got adult kids, and we had a chance to go to a winery this summer and drink together. Don't drink with young folks, I'm just saying.
I'll quickly say, just, spending time with family. And my puppies bring me joy. Full aggravation every now and again, but they bring me joy.
I guess I would say, get into the analysis stage of my dissertation.
I haven't heard dissertation and joy brought together.
Yeah. Me neither, but yeah, go ahead.
Something that brings me joy in the last month, my husband and I went to the zoo. It's been many, many years since we've been there. It was really cool. So there's like 100 million children in Halloween costumes. So we were surrounded by ninjas and princesses, fire exhibit, and so it was amazing. That was just really.
I'll just share that I've been listening lately to Never Ending Mary Poppins music. My daughter is in her first production in the children's theater, and so her dance numbers are on repeat in the house. And so, and the younger daughter, she's in a dance class, and they're doing Mary Poppins music too. So it's just never ending in our house right now.
He's a girl dad.
Well, thank you all for taking the time to do that, and knowing that, especially DEI work, is a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of hard work. It's just kind of thinking about how do we take the time for the joy in our day to day, and sometimes taking a step back to be okay putting work on pause if we need to be true whole persons. And so, thank you for engaging with that as we form and build community within the commission. So, we are supposed to get an ICCD update from Marcus Brown. Oh, but we need to do the review and approval of the minutes. I don't know if folks had a chance to take a look on the links that were provided. Thank you, Terrence. So this was from our last meeting. Just had a chance to review. We talked about the equity summit, our work with the presidents, treasurer's report, which I'll be excited for our report this time around. This committee, which has more information on today. Diversity legislation. And a lot of conversation about some of the legislation related to our work that's really up in different places.
Yeah, a lot of conversations.
Well, we talked about presentations for this conference, which we have a lot of sessions this time around for the DEI here. Cool. All right. Motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Oh.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstention? That's the thing. All right. Minutes are accepted. So we'll, or approved. We'll wait to see if Marcus Brown makes it. Because I think all the other commissions are doing meetings right now too, so he's probably doing the tours. So we'll jump into that one. Okay, so just a quick report here. Last year we started doing a lot of work with the President's Council. We popped in a couple of their meetings by invitation, and it was really interesting when we had an opportunity to share with them some of the work that our commission is doing, some of the conversations with the state on the equity plans. When we put the list of institutions, there were a lot of presidents in the room were like, oh, wait a minute, why is my college not on the list? And so thank you to you all who have become your institution's contacts. Contacts as that part of that conversation. We certainly have seen significant increases in membership and participation, and really want to think about how do we support the work that's happening on the campuses, especially as the equity plan is one move forward. But we know that this work is continues in different ways, and the ways that you all are engaging that in your institutions will look differently from student success, professional development, curriculum assessment, and student learning. So we're excited to see a larger representation across institutions in the system. I mentioned the work with the equity plan framework with ICCDC and IBHE, and so Terrence and I were on meetings last spring. He'll share more details with you in a little bit on the kind of the outcome and kind of walking through what the equity plan framework looks like, and our opportunity to critique and ask questions and think about how we can utilize this to engage other conversations on our campus related to this. Something that's really exciting. So because of this work, there's some conversations with the President's Council now about some of the opportunities to continue the conversation with them and supporting their institutions. And then just seeing the increased offerings on equity, diversity, and inclusion at this year's conference was really exciting to see, and some of you are participating and presenting in those different sessions. Look forward to those opportunities to learn, engage, and continue to challenge and support. So really excited to see that happening in this year's conference. So, all right, just a few things I wanted to highlight for today. So Keith Barnes and Amanda Smith from Rock Valley will be presenting on what's your campus equity inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion DNA, applying the dynamic diversity DNA stage model to achieve institutional transformation. So that'll be at 1:30. There's a session on the rise of the anti-DEI rhetoric. That's something that we talked about at that last meeting in terms of the legislations that have been popping up across the country and challenges to the work. How do we talk about it? How do we respond to challenges in the work? How do we continue to align equity and student success in our work? And then the rise of the officers in the Illinois community colleges. So that'll be a panel discussion. Thank you very much for being on the panel and sharing insights and expertise and what you need from others in the world to support you in the work. So we're looking forward to that this afternoon as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Bob.
Morning, everybody. Morning. Good morning. This is going to be a brief report. I'm just going to recap some really great engagement we've had this last year. I'm going to start with the PD sessions. So this year, it's really been a concerted effort to launch professional development in a new and exciting way. So I've taken on the task of ensuring that we're really focusing on the letter I of DEI inclusion and getting away from sometimes common misnomers of what DEI represents in terms of race and ethnicity, to really make it more focused on inclusion. So to that end, professional development sessions have begun virtually. Raise your hand if you've been to at least one this year, a virtually monthly session. I'll get you, don't worry, you'll be on the next one. So each month, roughly September, October, November in the fall, February, March, April in the spring, a PD session is going to be focused on a different aspect of need to support our students, right? The reflections of the support of the programs and services that we do really well at some community colleges and others can really take it to the next level by bringing from our campus. So instead of bringing quote outsiders in this year, we're really focusing on peer-to-peer PD. So once a month, professional development sessions are held, an hour, 15 minutes approximately. The first one kicked off with neurodiversity. So neurodiversity is not only a resolution passed in this last year with the legislature of encouraging institutions to focus on that support and codifying practices, but neurodiversity is a term that's now grown increasingly popular. For those who don't know, neurodiversity represents a range of learning abilities, how individuals perceive and acquire knowledge in the world. So it can include autism, ADHD, dyslexia, just different tactile ways of learning and perceiving information. So it's not one group, it's not race, it's not a mental illness, it's just different ways of learning. And so all of us in our pockets of the state serve an increasing amount of population that has neurodiversity. So how do we focus on that and support it without exorbitant amount of funding? So a professional development session was held in September for that. That was highly successful. We broke our record. We had 90 people attend that session. October, we had about 43, 44, so we saw a good number. October's professional development session was focusing on students in need for food insecurity. So some of us have food pantries, but one college in particular focused on expanding that food pantry to a model that meets students beyond hunger. So now it has toiletries, feminine hygiene products, basic needs that can support even extended family members. I and my kids are hungry after class, so maybe I can pick up something before class to get them after class. So how that looks and how we could do that with community involvement with grocers and students volunteering. That was the focus of last month. This month, I'm happy to share in recognition of Veterans Day earlier this month. We're going to focus on veteran students. So regardless of the age of a student who's a veteran, their needs are going to be substantially different than a traditional age student. So that'll be coming up in 2 weeks. Stay tuned. Next week, flyers are coming out. Please remember these online virtual sessions are free to not only you as institutional members and individual members, but all of your colleagues at the institution. So I am really requesting you to forward it to everyone you can think of in every department at your college. Engage them, not just to celebrate ICCDC's reach to you, but to celebrate and bring across the inclusion piece to them as your colleagues. Because you're all in it together as students. It's not just into this room or on Zoom, right? Okay, so those are some great opportunities. Yes.
Rory, do you have a question? You have your hand up.
No question. I'm sorry. I should have lowered my hand. That was just if people who participate in the professional.
Okay, thought so, but then I was like, oh no.
You're doing great. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm gonna continue now. Thanks, Lori. So that's our professional development series. I'm gonna talk more about the spring semester and others later on. Again, just recapping this semester. I'm building anticipation. Anthony says, give them a little movie trailer of what's to come. So I'm hoping I'm doing that. All right, and then I want you to know we are going to be planning for regional meetings. So we're not going to have to meet on Zoom starting next semester, but it'll be a very focused professional development area. It's not going to be about neurodiverse students or students who have specific needs, but it's going to be about us in this room and how we do what we do to support them college-wide. That's right, folks. We're going to have workshops focused on addressing the equity plan framework that has just recently been released by the Illinois Community College Board, how we can move this from a compliance-driven documentation to an inclusive effort at your college, with your team, your, I don't want to say required, but you're asked by the ICCD, every president is aware they're asked to have a team of approximately 5 dedicated, kind of like a steering committee at every college focused on addressing the questions in there, but more importantly, focusing on improvement so you can move forward as an institution. So we're going to focus on PD, align with that, more to come later on. We'll talk about our spring areas of focus. And then communities of practice. For those who were not involved last year, Communities of Practice launched to really engage all of our members in unique ways to move forward DEI initiatives for community college employees. And those involved working groups focused on finding training materials for faculty, others are focused on support staff, others that highlight programs and services, but there were working groups. One in particular was a working group focused on the repository. For those who don't know, that group in particular had resulted in an outcome. They had an outcome produced on our website through the ICCD. There is a web page that has knowledge-based resources, books, publications, websites, for every aspect you can think of for DEI for community college professionals, ranging from how do we hire a diverse workforce, what should we be looking for, to I'm a faculty member, how do I incorporate equity in my class? Or I'm a dean, how do I evaluate faculty using equity as a component? So please, I encourage you, just like the PD sessions, take advantage of that opportunity. It is online, it is free, and it's resources that are available for you. So that was a great success story from this last year, but looking ahead, later on I'll be asking for ideas for what we can move forward that's member driven like that for the next year. Any questions? Rory, any questions?
No. I'm gonna live that down somehow.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. I'll be talking, yes, please.
So can we reach out to you if you're interested in presenting on the topic?
Absolutely. I'll be talking about that in just a few slides. I gotta let the Secretary Treasurer speak first, but then I'll come back. So then I'll come back and then I'm gonna ask for some active engagement. So just so you know, fair warning, don't leave the room for the next few minutes, okay? Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I won't be out here too long. As the treasurer, I had to take over for Dr. Laura Ortiz, who's now vice president, I believe, or chancellor out in upstate New York. Provost. I had big shoes to fill. She was here for like 4 years, I think, wasn't she, in this position? So she took care of the money really, really well. You can see that the last couple of years we've actually been doubling. The reason why we didn't quite make the double for this year is because of those professional development gigs that we've been doing for you all. While the presenters don't ask for a big amount of money, we still want to say, hey, thanks for your time. Thanks for everything that you've given us, for giving us that extra knowledge that we're learning from. And so that's why we're not quite at the $12,000 mark, which is fine because we really owe those folks the world. We had one of our biggest professional development attendance last month. Almost 100 folks were online. So thanks to Dr. Duvall for doing that. Any questions on the money part? I'm gonna get to the next slide and show you the memberships. Okay, so we're doing really good. Last year, we had 23, those are institutional memberships. We probably had 2 handfuls of individual memberships, and then maybe just under a handful of non-affiliates. This year, we've exceeded that. If you still owe money, it's not too late, please get it in. I'm gonna be following up with folks and making sure that we get the rest of the dues in. All of the invoices are out, so we have 35 institutions. Those are institutional memberships. We probably have maybe 7 or 8, not quite 2 handfuls of individual memberships, and there are no affiliates or non-affiliations. And the last slide, when we get ready to go to the deck, we'll kind of go into that a little bit. That talks about institutional, individual, and non-affiliate and those prices. Any questions on this? We're doing good. I want to see that. What do we have? 42 community colleges in the state?
48.
48. Oh my goodness. So it'd be nice to get to the 40s for next fiscal year. So we're working on it. And I want to actually say a shout out to Dr. Ramos, because during his leadership this past year, he helped me learning my job, and he's learning his job as president. But we got on the phone, we started calling the community colleges and just following up with folks, people that had not ever been members before. So that's a big deal. So thank you for your leadership on that. Questions on this?
Well, I'll just add on to that. For a lot of conversations with some of the colleges have been, well, we've never had somebody lead this for our college before, and kind of that realization too that this is a missed opportunity they wanted to.
All right. Next slide.
All right. So we wanted to create a space for folks to share, you know, if there are like things that are happening on your institutions, you know, what's the, you know, any new initiatives, programs, obstacles, or even just general temperature, like what's the temperature of this work on your campus, just to learn and share in community. And not everybody has to share, but you know, if you feel moved to, and there's something that is brewing or something you've been thinking about related to the work on your campus, yeah, go for it.
I was just talking to one of the nice folks I met here earlier this morning that Anthony Law is over our diversity inclusion at Carlson College. And he put on a wonderful event yesterday on campus called Around the World. So all the international students that were from different countries had made little poster boards. Some of them made foods and drinks of their culture, of their country, and talked about where they were from. And, you know, if they spoke more than one language, we had little passports. And then we had to go get a stamp. So they provided food from the different countries for lunch, but you couldn't go unless you stopped by 10 tables and engaged in that. So the students just ate it up, you know, not only as the international students, but other folks. And they were just really proud to represent their country and to be international students at our college. So I really commend Anthony on all of his work. And he's the first one that I'm aware of. He created some, I don't know if you want to call them sororities, but a group called Women of Character and Distinction, and has his kids very active in the community. And he's going to grade schools, middle schools, and high schools, talking about that, getting kids interested in becoming a Sandberg charter, and has lots of volunteer work in the community, and just Hispanic Latino Association, Black History Month. Just if you go look at our web, it's just tremendous. And we have international home away from home program, so he helps connect students with other families in the community, so that maybe they could take them to a movie, maybe they could take them to dinner, or let them cook one of their meals from their country, you know, just really making kids feel included international. So I commend him. I don't see him online, but Anthony Law just does an amazing job. And he's a good mentor to the kids, and is really concerned about them and coaches them. He's always a marshal for graduation, and he gets to shake all their hands when they go across stage or not. It's it's so perfect.
It's like following around. Anyone online?
I just want to at Richmond Community College, Nicole, and that's Jeffrey, our executive director. Part of our team, we also our committee work, our equity plan, professional development. Retention wise, we are happy to announce that we have made significant gains. Doing a lot of work from CPA. So we know that our campus is often one or two people who get to do this work. It's highly dedicated to move that forward. Nicole, give me an indication for your work.
I'll just share, ECC, we've restructured, we've had a lot of equity work in different pockets. And so there's like different kind of disparate committees doing different things. And so we've, in the last year, restructured everything to kind of sit under one umbrella that we call our ESAC, our Equity and Student Success Action Council. First it was advisory, but we decided we didn't want to just advise, but we wanted to take action. And part of the goal was to have teams established as strategy teams, but you only live as a strategy team for 1 to 2 years. Then you need to either flip to implementation or we need to reevaluate some of the work that we're doing. And so, you know, how a lot of times we'll create committees and what does college work do? It lives in committee for perpetuity. And so we hoped by giving this definition of strategy versus implementation that we're going to move things forward. We've launched a Black Student Success Mentoring program that the faculty chair who's been leading it has been, I guess, talking about it for 10 years at the college. And he was saying, oh, well, we'll do it with 10 students the first year. And I'm like, no. If we're doing this, we're going to do all first time in college. Like, we need to do at scale. And so we're in launch there. Then we have another group that's working on our HSI identity and Latinx success, because we just broke 50% as a college, but yet our work in being in an identity in that space has been an opportunity for us. And so we're applying for a Title V grant, which is a grants writing team, but this group is really thinking about how do we live this identity as an HSI, how does it in our curriculum, how is it in our onboarding processes, how are we engaging families, and how are we bringing in some of the literature from like Dr. Gina Ann Garcia, who's kind of one of the national experts on HSI. So a lot of work in different spaces to try to move things, but hopefully to have the structure, we'll know within the next couple of years if it's working, that we can have the incubation period, we can have the idea generation, but we really need hard recommendations that we can act on and have those recommendations come in during budget planning season so that it's in line with recommendations are in by December, we're budget planning in spring, and so we're ready to act on these initiatives by fall. So,
and then Rory online.
Okay. Yeah, Rory, go for it. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Thank you. I find it really interesting in your conversation about HSI identity, because we're now at Moraine Valley Community College about 27%, and we're ready to declare that as a talking point. But one of the things that's important to us is that we're also serving that community in a way that's unique or with particular attention. So we're working on that. The other two initiatives, since I've been on campus, and particularly this year, we've been working on increasing the number of participants in our Safe Zone program. When I started, we had maybe a handful. We now have about 56 participants who have the Safe Zone placards in their window offices to let students know, and even our police department has a number of officers who are involved in the Safe Zone program. So that's really an affirming program for the LGBTQI community. But we also need to make sure that we're providing other resources as well, so that it's not just having these little pockets, but that we have an institutional evidencing of our inclusion and a sense of belonging for them. And we're working on being better at that. We're working with the LGBTQIA community students to help us with that. Probably the most important thing that's happened to us is, and what evidences the importance of building relationships in advance, is the relationships that my office was able to create with our MENA population, our Palestinian students, our Muslim students, our Arab students. Building that kind of rapport and relationship has elevated this office, because that community reached out to me when they needed help. They wanted some affirmation from our school that we were concerned about what's happening in Gaza, what's happening in Israel. And having that connection raised the importance of this office, I believe, in the eyes of our executive leadership team. And fortunately, we've been able to create programming around their requests, acknowledging their identity, acknowledging their presence, and expressing our concerns for the loved ones who have been lost. And then we had listening sessions that we gained more information, and we have created a presidential identified committee to actually support programming for that community. The interesting thing that's come up is that there are voices that say, well, what about us? You're spending so much interest on our group. What about all the other groups? This is not equal. You're not treating everyone the same way. And our response, fortunately, has been that we care about everyone on our campus, but when one group is particularly impacted by world events, we want to pay attention and support that group, the way we've supported our LGBTQI community when they were under attack, and the way we're supporting our Muslim Palestinian community. And if this should happen, something like this should happen to your group, we will do the same. And so that message has begun to resonate, and I'm really grateful for that. And thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thanks, very good.
I'd like to share, I'm really excited because our new president, Dr. Pam, started a college-wide diversity and inclusion council. And I always say, when something done, it needs to be top down if you're gonna really get by. And so this was a very exciting opportunity for different perspectives from around the campus. And I heard you and you both talk about pockets of things happening and people making efforts. But once again, it's what I call few people spinning their wheels. It's not. And so this past year, she really brought that forth, that we need to be talking from the business office, from the HR perspective, from the student affairs perspective. And so one of the things we have talked about for years, and circle the wagon, and we talked about it, nothing happens, was we need to get more diverse faculty to represent our school, and diverse for other positions as well. HR is part of the committee, and they asked me, what did I think about how we could do this? And I tried to get people to work here for years. I'm from Chicago originally. A lot of times the issue of people on the Central Illinois. I said, no, it's not that. I said, people put prefers on job descriptions when they put them out, and that seems to say to the world, I want you to have everything. I want you to be perfect. And people shy away and say, oh, I'm not going to apply because they're just going to get more people who prefer this. You have to widen the pool and add more depth and breadth to it if you're going to do more diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so the HR department, with the president's approval, said, take off the first, starting now. That in itself, we have seen a spike in the pools and in hiring of diverse people coming into the institution. And to me, it's having that leadership has really been exciting. With the ongoing strategic plan, the president went around and did listening sessions with all aspects of the college. And out of that, one of the things that has been developed is a college-wide initiative to increase our African American and Latino population. two groups that have been underrepresented for years. I've worked to try to get more students in with scholarships that we have, but it still hasn't done what we needed to do. And so I was asked by the president to lead an initiative college-wide to work with one school district to try, one of our local school districts to do free college work to get people off of what I call the developmental gerbil wheel, where people come in and feel like you took my money and you something with some credits and it doesn't amount to much, to actually helping them get ready, be college ready, get them ready to get to their college level work, and then to a bridge program, and then also develop a relationships with the school systems so that we can scale it up each year. And I'm very, can you tell that I'm a little excited about this? I call it my legacy project because I'll be retiring in a few years. And I told them I can't do it all by myself. You got to get me somebody to do my day-to-day so I can turn around and work with the external committees we're going to have and the interns. But I'm very pleased that our college is now putting the cards on the table because of the leadership there. And I want to thank you for letting me share.
Absolutely. There's so many things that you just shared that I'm like, oh, yes, yes, and yes, and it's like, as you mentioned this being a legacy project, like how many times have we had great things on our colleges that died when somebody left the institution, right? And how do we sustain it? How do we take it from a passion project to the institutional, structural, systemic supports to maintain the good work? So
because this was the president knew my district. She and I have been doing some sweet meets. And she knew my dissertation, I did my research in the past. So she said, you need to take that umbrella idea and now we need you to take it college-wide. I was like, you got it. And that's exciting when you get the people to listen. And that's why I applaud all of you. So this is hard work. It's not easy peasy, and so I'm glad to hear people talking about giving folks permission to do so here and so forth, because this is a matter of moving the needle and turning the I call it push.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I wanted to share, we kicked off International Education Week with a parade of students, our international students. We had over 100 students sign up. I was really surprised when we started to get students out. And when we ordered flags from their countries, so the students had their flags on their back, and we had a band, and they kind of marched down the corridor. So it was really beautiful to see, and the president gave a message on, we're all here in the United States, but there's a part of you, or a part of your family that may be in another place, and never forget that life, embrace it. So he encouraged them to know their story and keep their story. Also, we have flags, international flags on our main corridor, and we did a flag refresh. They're over 20 years old, so we put up all new flags for the students. So they were really excited about that. And we were successful in putting in our first all-gender multi-stall restaurant. So that was exciting. Everybody was so excited to celebrate a restaurant. The students and foundation staff are excited. We had single stalls, but they were like way far away, and they had been there for a long time. So I applaud the college in identifying that need a long time ago, but there was nothing where all the action was happening. Now we have all gender multi-stall restaurant. So we celebrated it. The students wanted to do a ribbon cutting and everything. We also celebrated having a program on campus for the first time. So that's really exciting for the students as well. And we kicked off our second year of employee resource groups. We just started last year. We have 4. I didn't know how it was going to work or if it was going to make it like it did. And they're going strong year 2. We have one for our Hispanic employees, our Black employees, community service, and our LGBTQ. So those are going really well. So those are some things, some exciting things that's happening.
I'm hearing potential PD topics for. Wonderful. congrats on all those accomplishments. Certainly, employee resource groups, and just how many folks have employee resource groups on their campus? Yeah, ours aren't formal in structure in terms of having funding, but they're more informal at our college, so it'll be similar how you want about the structure. Yeah.
Ms. Fox, did you want to say anything online? I see that you unmuted.
Oh.
I didn't know if you wanted to
Yeah.
talk about that. Go ahead.
We are doing a diversity climate survey now, and I know that we are going to be required statewide to be doing another one before the end of this academic year. So it looks like we're probably going to do another one by April. But we have been collecting data since, I think, for the past 5 weeks. So this is the last week of the climate survey. So that's one of the projects that we are working on. So we have a lot of events coming up in the spring. We're going to be having our first MLK breakfast event with students, and that's going to be our first day of classes also. So we're looking forward to that. And I think that's it. And we're working on the equity plan. And with the new framework that just came out, so I think it's going to help us to hopefully move faster on getting things off the ground. I think that's all I have this morning.
Joy, that's with and I know you all are doing the Heads Diversity and Equity Survey at Johnny Logan. Your president actually reached out to, I think it was my president and our IR folks have chatted. That's something, Terrence, I think you'll cover the equity plan climate survey piece in a little bit. If folks are looking for an instrument, I think that's one that's relatively inexpensive because I think we paid about $27 for it. So how many folks are doing climate surveys, just out of curiosity? Probably a range, anyone homegrown or outside vendors that you all are using? A homegrown.
What was the name?
Hence, it's the Higher Education something consortium or something like that. HEDS. Yeah. Yeah, so I can share details on that if anybody is curious, but yeah, I think the base price was 2,700 with some additional supplemental questions. So, yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. It's probably a good time. All right. So with that, actually, I think that's a good transition. I'll turn it over to Terrence to share some details around the equity plan and practices framework, as well as, and we'll hear more about equity plans and climate survey as a part of that.
So one thing, Mr. Smith, did you want to pipe in with your update, or did you want me to read that for you, sir?
You can go. I'll share. Just on the issue about climate studies, we are looking at using a third-party provider that we've used previously, so that we can just have a consistent view over time. So that's all I want to share. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah, and if you don't mind sharing that over email later, maybe we'll just kind of collect the different tools folks are using. And for those of you with homegrown systems, it might be good for us to see the kind of list of questions so we can kind of share what kind of data everyone's collecting as well. Thanks.
So what's our time frame? We're at 10 o'clock, so I get about 45 minutes. No. We'll be quick. All right. Last week at our Connect and Reflect, I shared some of this information. Actually, it's the exact same. So if you heard it before, don't completely tune out, but know that it's going to be repeat. But Illinois, the House and the Senate passed a bill that allows us as a state to have equity plans. And so the ultimate goal was that every community college would, or every university, public, private, 2-year, 4-year, would submit annually an equity plan and practice document. And so we're going to just walk through that information. So essentially what you receive is a framework. This went out to every community, or every college president. So if you haven't seen the framework, the college president has seen it. But you can see some of the things that I highlighted is that our equity plan and practices are designed to be student-centered practices. And they're really focused on the idea that all students have the tools they need to succeed. And so contrary to what we may talk about later with the anti-DEI legislation, the practices that we're putting in place aren't to be taking away from one group to give to another group. It's saying that we know our outcomes. So on our campus, we know our outcomes, we know who's succeeding, we know which groups aren't. And so we're going to provide additional tools to those individuals who aren't succeeding, and that it's substantial, it's a significant issue. And so if someone wants to challenge us on the fact that we can look at our outcomes and tell you where we have pockets of individuals who aren't succeeding, then come on in. Let's have that conversation. Why shouldn't we support people in that environment? And so this gives us a voice, a spot to say, not just my college, but every institution across Illinois is looking at the same thing and saying, we can do better, we must do better. And so the Illinois data has the groups of students, so Black, Latinx, low-income, rural, women, individuals with disabilities, working adults. Those are the populations that across the state, Illinois has said, these are groups that we see with significant equity gaps. But the idea is that you would look at your campus and say, okay, individuals with disabilities, how are they doing? What are their outcomes? How are they telling us they're doing? How are they feeling? And making sure that they're doing well. And if they are, with the supports that we're giving them, that's great. If they're not, then make sure that you start to increase those supports. So that's really the idea behind it. And so this is just kind of the overview of all the things that happened in 21. IBHE and ICCB created their strategic plan. In 22, the House gave us the House Bill 5464, requiring that we have equity plans as soon as the state delivered us with the framework. They delivered the framework, and now we've got our requirement is in spring of 23, the state held an equity plan advisory committee. And so I was able to participate as well as Dr. Ramos on that advisory committee. And then just this month, we received the framework. And so for our commission members, if you go to our Google Drive documents, this entire spreadsheet or slide deck is in there. So you can grab the links and download the release letter and the framework. 2 important dates, December 4th, they are IBHE and ICCB will host a webinar. Your college president, again, should be having at least one person from your institution present at that webinar. And so if you haven't already been asked as a member of the Diversity Commission, then maybe knock on whatever door you need to. Otherwise, you may find out on December 3rd that you're presenting or present. So And then finally, they've set the date of 5/31 to provide a baseline. And so the baseline equity plan, they have an outline that we'll go over, but we won't get into fully what their expectations are for that. That'll be on December 4th. All right, but here's the pretty much the draft. They'll ask for a table of contents, introduction, institutional vision for DEIA, institutional vision for equity. And again, I don't know what those differences will be. And then we'll walk through the other three portions of this: the analyzing data, assessing climate, and then the policy, strategy, services, and practices that go into the plan.
Question on
Yes.
the last slide. So for the equity plan, they added
So on this one, yes.
is that required with the new regs?
So it wasn't listed in the new regs, but it was added to this document. And so that'll be a question that I have as well, for what's kind of the idea, because I also don't know the difference between an institutional vision for DEIA and an institutional vision for equity, being that equity is a part of DEIA. So I don't know, so I'm hoping that they have some.
This came from the state?
Yes. So from this document, the equity plan and practices framework, that was the two introductions that they said would be requested. So yeah, so I think that'll be one of the questions, and I think there's a few questions in there that will be. So how did you get to this point? What's the thing that's driving, and where should we be landing as an institution? All right, so after the first two components, the table and the intro, then it goes into analyzing data. And so one of the things that ICCB has said they will do is to provide us with trend analyses. And so they're going to take some of their data and then provide us with some gap analysis. And so we haven't seen what that looks like. We don't know when it's going to come to us, but the hope is that if you're on a campus that doesn't have a strong IR or doesn't have a team that's looking at equity gaps, that will have at least a minimal standard for you to be able to say, okay, here are the gaps that the state is helping us to see. And hopefully that will propel your team, your data team, to be able to help to further along that data. Other institutions may already be way advanced and they have their data down. Some have already gone through this process. But the ultimate is that you would be able to use that information as well as your information to get to the point where you can say, here are the gaps that we are going to be focusing our equity plan around. And so that C it really becomes the central part to the data. And then the rest of the analyzing is then identifying where those barriers came from. So if you say one of our barriers is 25-year-old, the adult learners are not enrolling at the degree at which we think they should be, or there's an equity gap in adult learner enrollment. Okay, so then what are the policies or procedures or practices that are impacting that? Is it a part of our admissions process? Is it a part of our testing? So going through that process. So yes, we know a gap. Now, why do you think that's happening? And then what are you planning on doing different? And so that's the key, is assessing your practices. And so if you're already doing some of this stuff on your campus, then this is just giving you the blueprint to say, okay, we need to actually go through the process of review and analyzing what we're doing. And so some of these things we may have already begun to work.
Do you know if it would be appropriate to update your existing DEI plan to be more equity plan?
Yes, so I think that they're expecting us to use whatever frame that you currently have as a supplement, so you may have to take yours, so if you were in an IDEA, take your IDEA plan and change the headers to fit these topics. Or it may, so whatever actions or activities you currently have, I think what you're trying to do is just to say, okay, are we doing this? And can we showcase this? When I talk to my campus, our executive team is letting them know that the state stops at the student performance, but our equity plan and practices go into our employees and into our community. And so the plan that we have for our campus is going to be more involved than the required plan for our state, because they just need us to talk about the student outcomes. But that doesn't mean we're going to stop caring about our employee outcomes or, the things that we're talking about in the community. It's just that when I report to the state, it'll be, here are the things that you're asking us for. All right. And then the section 4, or component 4, is on assessing the climate. And so for the campus climate, we talked a little bit about the campus climate surveys. So there are tools that are called campus climate surveys, but then there's also tools that measure campus climate. And so what you want to do is to be able to say, how are you measuring the climate on your campus? And what we're really trying to get at is, are you asking students directly from different backgrounds how their experience of your campus is? And so some of that work we do using our SSI data. But then you need to say, well, are you reaching all of the various populations? Because like the HEAD survey, it asks very specifically about all of the various demographic populations. So if the survey, that tool that you're using doesn't ask that, then how are you going to make sure that if you're looking at your information, you also have that supplemental information? So you don't have to necessarily jump to a new survey tool, but you may have to make sure that you're collecting different data. And then also, if like if you shoot out a survey and you only get 5% of your student population and 1% of your minority student population, then that's not, so then we're asking, well then, if you're not getting their voice in the survey tool that you're using, then don't tell us that you're getting their voice. How are you going to do that? And so again, this gives us as practitioners the verbiage to say, look, the state is telling us we can't just sit on and say, okay, we sent out this survey, whoever did it. We need to make sure that we're going in and getting that information from our students. So you describe your plans, talk about your assessment results or your planned results, and then make sure that you're using those findings going back to the previous one. So the identifying gaps to be addressed, you want to make sure that a part of your campus climate identifies those gaps that are to be addressed, so that should also be,
So are those examples available now? The OCC right now?
Yes. So in the committee or the commission, OCCRL made a presentation. So yeah, if you go to their, they didn't break down. So they did a survey across the state. I don't know if people remember that. Maybe in 21, they tried to send out a big survey to just everybody. And, so they were given here's what we learned from trying to use one survey across all the campuses. And so it doesn't really say, here's the different tools you should use, but it does help you to understand, like, here's what the state is gonna be asking you for. All right, read it. Right. So the last component is the meat of the plan is going to be your policy, strategy, services, and practices. And so what they're asking you to do is to outline your identified change practices, include a timeline. How long do you think you're going to be doing this? And what's the evaluation plan? And the next slide will kind of show you more about what that might look like. And again, this is just me taking a paper and trying to extrapolate information for y'all. The other part to this section, providing an overview of the institution's approach to the plan creation. So who was involved, and there's a lot more details in the document, but who was involved? What was the steering committee? Did you have your president, your leadership teams a part of it? Did you talk to students? You know, like, how did you create the plan that you're submitting to the state right now? As well as how is it connected to your strategic plan and other campus plans? So if you have a enrollment master plan, does that connect to this, or is it complete? You know, so by just asking the question, it helps you to say, well, then we should have it connected. You know, so it's kind of giving you that use case to say, no, we can't create a equity plan that's on the side of everything else that we're doing. How did we make sure that it was central? And then how are we planning on making sure that we're constantly talking about this across the college? So how are you planning on communicating your plan to your board? You know, is it going to be once a year? Is it once a quarter? And what are you planning on doing? By having to say that, having to get that buy-in, then it's not just me on Heartland's campus creating this document, and that's okay. You know, it has to be more people. So I love the protection there. And I just made a note. This is just my thoughts, but when I've looked at the IDEA equity plan templates, a lot of the type of information from D, E, and F is put in the introductory section. And so it's just, you know, different. All right. So then this is kind of the types of information that they are asking us to walk through. So what's the target equity gap? You know, you've done your data analysis, you've said, here's the equity gap. So we go back to enrollment gap for adult learner. There you go, that's one of your equity gaps. And you might have more, you'll have more than one. So then we've got enrollment, our target population, adult learner, and then what's the policy or practice change? You know, so it's not enough to just say, yeah, we know our enrollment with adult learners is bad, but what did we decide to do different? Maybe we said we're gonna do some geo-targeting, or we're gonna go out to workplaces, or, you know, whatever it is. Okay, that's what we decided is our practice change. How are we gonna measure it? You're gonna do anything that's immediate? Is it only a long-term measure? That kind of thing. So you being able to talk it through, and then what's the budget? How much money are you spending? Who's working on this? And again, what I said, the budget and staff part of this is not included in the ICCD IBHE plan, but it is a best practice and it's important. And so if you can talk your institution into keeping how we're spending money on that center, even though it's not required, it goes back to neither is the employment piece required. So it's not that we have to only do things that are mandatory, that's just our minimum. And so try and make sure that you keep that simple as well.
There was an ILEA summit a few weeks ago, and we had asked folks from ICCD, are they hearing anything from the state about are there dollars to support this work, possibly coming on the line, grants, what have you? Not at the moment. And so that's just something that we've been asking in terms of well, once these equity plans are written and ready to move into action, what resources, if any, would be available to support. So one thing about creating the plans, but we want to make sure that we're truly committed to this work. How are we resourced to be able to do this? Isn't our colleges just going to be required to reallocate resource and time and people and budgets, or what else might be available that we can advocate for, or the grants we can apply for as a system to support this work in our institution? So no official answers on that yet, but it's a question that we've tried to keep throwing out.
Yeah, and one of the things, like, celebrate your success in this equity plan, because the more you celebrate your institution's successes, the louder you can be about your institution's challenges. And so if you spend too much time talking about how bad things are, then you're not going to get that motivation to move people ahead and actually get them excited about the next thing. And so all of the people who've been at your college for the years since before you got there really believe that they've done great work. And so we want to highlight and celebrate the great work that has been done. And so that's where you get an opportunity to say, no, we're doing lots of good. There's lots of positives that are coming through. And so everybody isn't experiencing an equity gap everywhere, but there are a few. And we have to change those too, so that the narrative isn't that it's just, lopsided institution. And so I think, just keeping that in mind. So then last thing is just the next step. So you have to identify, and it's not you, the president of your institution has to identify representative before that 12/4 meeting. And again, the registration link was included in that formal letter. It's there as well. And then think about what are you already doing? So what are the plan components that you already have in place? Using those as your starting line. And then thinking about where, so when you think about those steps, where do you need additional support? So if you're already strong in data, then you don't need to go to a bunch of data sessions that are being provided by the state. You may need to go to a session about what are those best practices. So figuring out, like, based on what you're reading, where are the points when you hear something, you need to listen up and think about what's going to happen. And then finally, we're, as a leadership team, as a commission, we want to be right in the center of everything that's happening around community colleges as it relates to these equity plans. And so at a minimum, we'll be talking about how we can be around the region, just sitting down with you all, talking through where are your needs for support and assistance, and then jumping right in. But we'd love to be helping out the entire state doing that across all of our community colleges, even on the few that aren't part of our membership, so that, we say that we bring the practitioners together. And so your voices are so central in being able to help move us forward here. So yeah, and then don't forget that 531, you're gonna submit something. So be ready to submit something at that time. But, all right.
All right, so I think we're going to take a little bit of a break and stand up and stretch, and then we'll jump into spring engagements for about in 5 minutes. Okay, coffee, snacks, And then for folks on Zoom, we'll keep the Zoom open, so, you know, in terms of, so you all can hear about the communication opportunities as well, so.
So we'll turn off the camera and sound and then turn it back on, so then you get some way to know that the break closed.
We'll be back in about 5. On and about.
My little yoga is going on.
All right, welcome back, everyone, and we'll turn it over to Purple on our spring engagement opportunities and plans.
Hi all again, hello, how many are on? All right, so we're gonna talk the full movie now. I've already given you the trailer for Anthony's.
What are you talking about?
The spring development plan, I shared with you that this fall, or this current fall semester, we had neurodiversity, food pantry, 2 weeks, 10 days. The last Tuesday of the month, we're gonna have a veterans focused one. So now I'm excited to share with you a kickstart for the spring, and I'm gonna welcome your ideas and movement beyond just this one idea. So we're looking at student parent needs. Is that a critical piece? I have Candace to thank, our secretary down there. Go ahead and wave, Candace, for all those out there. She had that great idea. So in the spring, we're gonna do a student parent focused session. That's one. We have a couple more semesters. Remember, each semester we do 3. So in the spring, it'll be February, March, and April. So while that's a great plan, I'm gonna hear about some ideas now from you and those on Zoom who could give me some thought-provoking topics to move forward that you want to hear in gain professional development. So again, the topics we've had in the past: neurodiversity, food insecurity, veterans is coming up, We've got student parent needs and their support. What are some other professional development topics that you would like to hear more about? Or how we support our students?
I was going to talk about student parenting, but from the expectant mother into the parenting mode and connecting the dots across campus with that. We just did a presentation, Dr. Lau, my vice president, and two of our VPs and I at the American Association of Community College Trustees Association, because for the past 7 years we've been doing, and it's basically Title IX for expectant moms. We have created a program where I welcome them, congratulate them, and I tell the faculty, all you say to them is congratulations for senior year. And giving them that support academically, I intervene, I intercede if necessary, I create whatever is needed to keep them whole and on track. I'm deputy Title IX. And so I asked to do that. And according to what we've learned in the new regs, that is going to be something that will be put out there, that everybody has centralized now at the college or university to have someone designated to do just what we've been doing with them. And now I've connected with our wellness office and our child development center so that we've basically taken from you walk in the door, you're here, we welcome you and keep you on track each semester, get you back to your program and make sure that you re-enter your program at whatever level you were at, and we're going to get more completeness. We have some really good statistics to show that that works. And so we even partnered with our CDC, our Child Development Center, which we still have on campus, but our board keeps saying is we want to do that. Our Child Development Center was one that was mainly community and our staff using it, not our students. And then when the VP, I always believe if somebody asks you what you want, you're ready. I have a business background, and she said, what do you want? I said, I need an infant room. You keep telling people to come back in 2 years when your baby is potty trained. That ain't helping. She gave us one infant room, child room, and we are now in the midst of training more teachers to open a second one. And for the first time in years, 49% of the participants in our child care center are our students. And that's what I want to see. So that's where I see it as important. And now we're creating a community forum on our Teams channel where they will all get to talk with one another with my moments.
As long as we got our student parent topic for the spring semester covered, courtesy of Parkland. What other topics do you want to hear more about from our institutions of what they're doing to support our students?
We were discussing as a group this morning about and Jeff McCoy talked about this at SICC, the presentation last year on bridging the gap between generations, especially Generation Z. Okay. And I think we were talking about HVAC programs that McHenry and Juliet have, and how trade schools are really important too, and community colleges. And 4 years are important, they're all important, education important, but to get trained, get out of the community and not have as much student loan debt and go in, make $80 an hour potentially for HVAC and stuff. And I met Ms. Rosalyn Perry from ACRO. I was telling some of the folks earlier this morning, and she said that ACRO is trying to look more into digital credentials, prior learning assessment, badging, and more focus. I mean, it's very important for 4 years, but it's not meant for everybody. And we still need, plumbers, electricians, linemen, all those different jobs are very important and well paid, even more. You can go get your bachelor's degree and teach and make $35,000 a year, but then some of these other folks doing trade programs can make more than that and provide for their family and stuff like that. And about how Generation Z is more entrepreneurs, they're not wanting to go to college as much as the other generations, and they want to be really careful with their money, and they want a fast-paced world and not like. I think Mr. McCoy said, I think it was 12 seconds attention span when you're scrolling through the feed and looking at stuff if they're interested or not in something like that, but just trying to, I don't know if this is my first time here, so I'm not sure if that's on topic, but I think it would be interesting for some kind of the gap where Generation Z or just trends of programs and stuff and helping.
Oh, maybe generational learners. I don't know if you heard, I just heard the other day, there's a new generation in town. It's Generation P. Generation P represents pandemic learners.
Oh.
I was like, that's so smart. I wish I had coined that. Trademarking that. But, and here's the interesting thing, my readings of Generation P were, unlike other generations, defined by solely a time frame that you were born, right, a decade or anywhere from 12 to 15 years that you were born, 10 to 15 years. Generation B is defined not the decade you were born, but that you were learning during that time frame. You could be Generation B high school student, Generation college student, or if you ask some of the employees in my workforce, Generation P employees, you know, because that literally shifted everything from how we acquire knowledge to our bandwidth of what you're expecting me to do now here in my workforce, right? And so maybe that you can expand that, Angela, if you're comfortable, maybe to a generational learning, right? How the different styles are. How's that sound? So those are just some previews. I don't want to cut into too much other time because I'll be back up here in a few minutes anyway. So I don't want to make you all sick of me. But I'm going to ask you to please submit to me topics that you and your colleagues at your institutions would be interested in getting free training on for about an hour. Virtually, you don't leave your home, y'all don't leave your offices, but what would you benefit on? We'll tentatively start talking about and planning for student parents and generational learners. But remember, it's not just about filling time for a schedule in the spring. It's really what's beneficial to you and your teams, ultimately your student success, right? That's all what we're here for. So please do email me. Y'all should know I'm purvadeval@triton.edu. PURVADEVOL @Triton.edu. TRITON.
We have one that I can ask about at our last person, our person was talking about mentoring staff and what are some of the best practices out there to try to help with the inclusion and feeling of belonging. Have you all already done something on that? Is it something you can talk about?
Yeah, actually, I took it a step further. We actually piloted as part of the initial equity and inclusion initiative in my college this last semester, supervising with equity groups. It's for aspiring and current supervisors, right? So I'm a well-experienced supervisor, but maybe I don't know how to be an equitable supervisor, or I want to be a supervisor one day, but I was taught to do budgets really well and how to manage work schedules and union labor environment. What do you mean? There's an equity component. So it's a hybrid course offering at our institution, highly successful. But that's where I'm looking at building it potentially. So when you email me at purvadeval for your planning ideas for student parents, put in there that, and then we can work together to see how we can make it a really comprehensive way of evolving into equity towards our employee workforce. That would be great. There's no other topics at this point regarding PD sessions. Please do, again, email me. I'm going to turn it over to the next speaker. We'll see you again.
Yes. So when I talk about prior learning assessment, I'm sure you all have like a credit for prior learning guide, you know, like military credit, AP credit, etc., IB, University Seal and stuff. But what I'm getting at is a long time ago, before HLC was more strict higher learning commission, we could give more credit for like very vocational schools, etc. But because we have to make sure that the instructors are vetted, high enough learning to teach those classes, it kind of got cut down. What I would like to see is like if someone like the Illinois State Police Association, like at Moraine Valley, they're giving 15 college credits because they have that credential. So I'm getting at that's not the same at every school, but I wish we could adapt a policy from more, whether it be a trade thing or some kind of national ID or a certain thing that all schools would accept that and expand it so that they're not starting over if they really are. You know what I mean? So if there's something about like a credit thing for prior learning, I think that would be a really interesting topic. I think a lot of schools would like that because what's done in one place is not the rest, but it would be nice if we could spearhead something to where it would still be reviewed by the faculty, but you get so many hours in each place to help that student jumpstart their program.
I do love that. That is a focus for the academic office.
It is, okay, I wasn't
and
sure. So, okay, good.
The law has an equity component, and one would hope that all the policies and procedures of any commission, right? There's 15 commissions like us, right? Has an equity component. That is essentially truly their area of focus. so I welcome your questions either. But I do want to end with, I like what you're saying. The 48 community colleges are so many of us reinventing what we like to do. Why don't we have shared curriculum, shared numbers of forced prefixes? Why don't we have shared standards? And if we're really good at welding, we can tweak it for my team, or add to it. We can standard. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to turn over to the next speaker.
I think we have Keith Barnes online that was going to give us an update on the awards committee or a call for support. Are you on there? Oh, there you are.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm not there. I had a presentation this morning, so I'm en route to Peoria. I had a meeting with a subcommittee a while back, and what we're entertaining is the creation of a statewide DEI award to honor the great work that we do on our campuses. What motivated me to do this is the impact that it has had on my current campus at Rock Valley College and my campus at Colorado, to honor the people who do the great work, because this work is very thankless sometimes. And I know they have other professional awards that we give out at campuses that normally people like us don't get nominated or even receive an award. And I thought it was a great way that we could take the initiative to reward our DEI practitioners across the state for the great work. And then there was a time in the history of our institutions where people were doing this work when it was not well received, and they got beat up pretty bad about it, and they never got any recognition. And so the thought is that we create different categories, and we're still toying around an institutional award, maybe an individual to a faculty or an administrator. There was some talk about a student award. And then we wanted to do something called distinguished service, where we give it to people who've been doing the work for a long time. So an example would be the mayor of Peoria, ironically enough. Her name is Rita Ali. Rita was really one of the forerunners and pioneers of DEI in Illinois before it was CP. So was other Can you hear me?
Barely, you're breaking up, and I don't think any of us
Yep,
can.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm driving. Yeah.
Okay. All right, you're coming through now.
Open road, so I apologize.
Oh, you're good now. I think we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, are we good?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let me go real quick before y'all lose me again. Create an award to honor the great work that we're doing across the state, have different categories. What we need to know now is this something that we want to do? We need to develop a trophy, and then what form are we going to use to give out the awards? Do we want to do it at the ICCDC conference, or do we want to create our own award? So that's the question that I have on the table.
Well, I'd probably say moving forward, if there's anyone in the group or online, that would like to join the group that Keith is leading, to kind of come up with the structures, the types of awards, nomination, and decision-making processes. That's something that I think certainly could live within the commission and recognizing the great work across the state. So, does that sound good, folks?
I think that, so I'm fairly certain that the ICCCA, is that where we are right now? Yeah. ICCCA would welcome or allow at their kickoff or closing meeting presentation of awards. So if we wanted to ask the membership here, that would be one entry point. That the committee could think through whether or not this is the best venue or if there's other venues that make more sense.
Fantastic. Sound good, Keith? So we'll have folks get in touch with you that are interested in serving on that with you.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, safe travels, and we'll see you here in a little bit.
All right.
I know we're down to like our last 5 minutes or so. I'll turn it back to Brooke for our.
And just to,
Actually have like 1 minute left.
just to put this into the minutes, Rory Smith is willing to be on the committee, so we'll make that a part of the meeting minutes. It's in the chat. Thank you,
I
Mr.
want to be
Smith.
respectful of time, so I will skip over those bullets and just generally talk to you, okay? So maybe just a couple minutes to do that. And then promise me you'll follow up with me, okay? All of this we can talk about at a later time, but essentially, for the equity plan framework, that's going to be a major area of focus for all of our institutions, the ICCD and the ICCDC. A lot of acronyms to say at the end of the day, how do we document what we're doing for our students and employees? Can't forget, we can't support kids if the parents don't get along, right? So how do we train, engage, and motivate all of our employees to find out what's going on in their institutions, document it well, and more importantly, improve it year after year. So don't view this as a compliance effort. Let's view it as something that is transformational. And we all know while things happen from the top down, nothing happens without engagement by the masses. Okay, so that's why I'm appealing to you right now. December 4th, I'm going to ask that all of you register for the free webinar from ICCD, all of you, regardless if you're appointed, a point person or not. The ICCD has a registration link. It's free for you to join. I recommend every member of our 35 member institutions get on just to hear what the equity plan framework is. Knowledge is everything, especially when it comes to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, so log on, understand what it is. You're going to hear they're recommending teams of 5. Volunteer your time. I know no one has time, but nothing is more important than things that we do collectively for student success. Volunteer if you can with your president or your point person to be on it. Even if you're not on this committee, please see if you can attend a couple meetings or get some heads up or minutes shared with you every once in a while so you can maybe report back to us as a commission in our monthly connections and reflections and other venues. But essentially, we're going to have from January through May to actually document this as each institution. It is required for all 48, regardless if you're affiliated with ICCDC or not. Regardless if you have diversity stated in the mission or not, it is required. And to help us all move together, move forward, and be involved and engaged, I have asked for the opportunity to come meet your colleges in your region. So whether it's Southern Illinois, Central Illinois, to have workshops on your campus or campuses that will allow me to come and host kind of like regional areas. I love to engage individuals in collective work. So the opportunity to come visit you is something I thrive on. So be mindful of that. Understand there's more information because the music's going to start and they're going to usher me off a commercial break here soon. So just be mindful that more information is to come. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask December 4th, which will be here before you know it. You log on, have a basis of what we're talking about. Terrence gave a great overview of it, but there's something to be said about listening directly from ICCD. And please understand, when it is assigned to you or those that you work with, you are not alone. You want to make sure that every institution's got great documentation, great movement, great progress. It's not about success on the first try, it's about success for students, no matter how long it takes us to get there. Okay? Thanks, y'all.
All right.
That was good. That was fast.
It'll be so exciting to get out of our campuses and make those connections. And just related to that, folks are thinking about hosting and other colleges close by. We look forward to engaging throughout the next several months. So thank you all for your time. We're at a minute over, so I waited 60 seconds. But in light of that, thank you all so much. Here to support you all and anything we can do. Reach out, let us know, and looking forward to engaging with you all throughout the conference and the time afterwards. So thank you all for being here.
You're not a member. There's your
website, or mentioned the repository, so we're on the ICCDC website there as well if you want to go. So, but thank you, everybody. Have a great conference, and look forward to connecting with different sessions and opportunities to engage throughout the day. It was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone online. Good seeing you all, and connect soon.
Thanks, y'all.